afternoon. Welcome back, Craig and Debbie, also known as Zed and Sapphire, and also we have Tanny from Healing Arts. So we will be talking about self-love and also appreciation. So let's start. In terms of self-love and know your worth, I mean, I have had a lot of struggle knowing my worth in the past, and it's all about having practice to kind of build it and grow. So, I mean, how do you define knowing your worth?
I think I grew up with that side of things through the loss of both parents, to be honest, and to feel like you've got no love left in you, to go through the mental health phase. Back then you wouldn't know it was mental health because I was much younger, in my early 20s. But then you start to realise that when somebody comes into your life, such as my lovely Sapphire, she grew to love me and I grew to love her, and I realised there is love there. And I had self-worth as well, which I had to give back. And when you share that self-worth and the love that you share, it makes people around you happy and builds this big aura of happiness and joyous. That's what I feel, and that's my sort of situation that I was in.
And how would you define it? Like,
well, when I was younger, I went through a lot of troubled times, you know, at school. I was bullied quite a lot, and obviously I felt a bit worthless, you know, so I didn't know what direction.
because other people can really knock your confidence
Yes, that's how I felt. But,
yes.
you know, I stuck in at school with my exams and things, and I came out trumps in the end with that. So the bullies didn't get the better of me there. So yes, as I grew up, I mean, I had to go through the grief of losing family members very close, my mother and my brother. And the thing is that I felt like empty and numb when that happens. You know, you've lost people in your life. But, you know, as you say, you grow up, and, you know, it's the love from others that you start to feel like you are worth something, you know, in the end. And it's the love and the hugs that made me go on, you know.
But I also feel like you shouldn't really rely on other people to know your worth. You should feel it inside.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I think you're exactly right, because I think that what she was trying to say is, once you feel the love from the other person, your love and your self-belief starts to flourish, and you realise it's there.
Yes.
And you have that.
Yes.
You know, and you have that, and you have to let that shine. As that's your self-worth. Don't let anybody knock it down. You know?
Exactly.
Because I built a lot of barriers, you know, from my young age, and my barriers went down as I grew up and I got older and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's when I could let myself go and hug people and that, because in my household we didn't really hug, you know, and nobody ever says they loved me, you know. So I went through it like that. I know my mum and dad loved me, but I never got hugs and them saying it to me.
So if you lack love, you kind of lack that worth.
Yes.
Kind of thing, that self-love.
I didn't know that people actually say that in families.
I know what
I
you
love
mean.
you and things like that, because I was never accustomed to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how would you define it, and also appreciation? How does that come into it?
Yes.
Do you
I'll
see?
carry on this conversation.
Yes.
I hear you both from the background. Self-worth and self-loving was a bit struggled at early age because of loss of loved ones being around. As we are all experienced with childhood, in our childhood, we experience this like mirroring things or observing our role models. If they are no longer there, we struggle with kind of feeling lost. And while we grew up, we share that self-love or reflecting to our partners or other people, might be our friends, close friends, or other relatives, other people. So that's kind of connecting and feeling belong to something like a family or a community. So then we discover ourselves, our self-worth, and start, our own journey. and picking up from our past and present, combining with those experiences. So that's self-worth.
But I know, I know what you mean by getting that love from others that will help you kind of appreciate yourself. But how would you kind of grow that self-love within yourself?
Okay.
What are your ways of doing that?
Yes. So it takes these experiences from past. I use as tools or experiences to make connection and to self-worth and create my own treasures. Loving myself first and joining this love with others, with chosen ones, of course. Now, at this stage, we become more cautious.
Because they say, how can anyone love you if you don't love yourself?
Exactly. Yes.
You know, so
and then with appreciation, I built the pillars of appreciation. Who I share my love with, and how appreciate those people in my life. So these are very concrete stages I go through, and then it makes me happier, more appreciated, and I'm appreciating more the other people's.
And it helps, it helps having positive people around you, people to lift you up. Because if you're around negative, dark people, it will bring you down.
Yes, drains your energy.
It does.
Whereas with positivity, with trust, yes, we might have that trust issue, but we have to build up on that. No one person is similar to other examples. So individually, we connect. When we connect, we build that trust, and then appreciation starts both ways.
Yes, and what's your ways?
Of coping, do you mean, or?
Of building to learn how to love yourself.
Yeah.
What are your tips?
Well, my tips are, they're probably a little bit different because I'm an entertainer, but because I love entertaining, and that gets me away from anything that's negative. If somebody wants to be negative or you get an online troll, I used to say things back to them, and very verbally as well, but now I've took the instructions of up here, and it just tells me to ignore them. You're better than that, and people will love you for who you are.
Yes.
Not for what they perceive you to be, and they can knock themselves down, but they can't knock you down. Do you know?
Exactly.
It's like the old song says, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to beat me down.
Yes.
You know? It's a thing.
You don't want to let them win.
No.
And they never will. Not with me, not with her, and not with you guys as well. Because we are collaborative like the mafia of mental health. And
Exactly.
we're here to stand
I like
up
that,
for
the
people.
mafia of mental health.
Yeah, so watch out, folks.
Okay.
Because we're coming for
I
you.
find now that as I'm older,
Yeah.
I do think I am worth something now. You know,
That's really good.
that's what I feel, and I
Yeah.
just need to ask him.
And it's
never
too
for a
late
hug or anything.
No.
to love yourself.
No,
It's a learning process.
Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It is.
Takes time, takes practice, effort.
It builds up.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you do get people out there that would knock that. They'll say, oh, if you're on TV or something like that, they'll say, you only love yourself. Yes, I only love myself, but
Yes.
I'm here to share the love with you. It's just that
Exactly.
you're too blind to see it.
Yes.
Yes.
So there you go.
And loving yourself, maybe people can think that you're arrogant, but no.
Yeah,
it's
no,
knowing
no,
your
no,
standards
no,
and
yeah.
knowing what you're worth.
You know your own.
It's not about
yeah.
being arrogant.
No.
You know your
But
own
except
barriers.
for
don't
some
you?
people, they can take that in that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. But they don't know your struggles that you've been through.
Yes.
You know, to get there, to feel.
Exactly.
I mean,
So you can say to yourself and say to everybody, I love myself.
yeah.
Well, you know something? I do love myself, and nobody will ever take that away from me. nobody will ever bully me because I am worth something.
Exactly.
Well said.
Very well.
Well said.
Yeah.
So, to wrap up,
Yeah.
is there any other thoughts
Well,
you would like to add?
In the
or-
words of Whitney Houston, I will always love you. There we are.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good to remember.
That's a good reminder, yes.
Bless her, yeah. It's lovely
And when
song.
we say I will always love you, it doesn't mean you, it can be
Yeah.
you,
Look in the mirror.
yourself.
You're there. You're there to be loved.
Yeah.
In a good way, folks.
Yes.
So my tip is keep smiling all
Yeah.
the way through life. because,
Smiling is
that's
a
what it's
positive
about.
energy.
Yes,
Yeah.
positive energy.
Well, that's it. And thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next interview.
Hi, I'm Fiona Watt. I'm joined here today with Tanny. Tanny, thank you so much for joining me today. So would you like to tell me, maybe we could start with a little bit about the background of what trauma did you experience that kind of opened the floodgate then to how you...
Okay. Thanks, Fiona, introducing me. Yes, like everybody else, I went through some hardship in the past. Some people call them trauma. Yes, and as you mentioned that losing your home is the first traumatic things that affects your life during that time.
So were you living in rented? Did you own a home? What was your circumstance at
Okay,
that time?
now it's 15 years ago.
Okay.
It's past 15 years. It's quite a long, lengthy time. At the time, we were living in a nice home, sweet home, with loved ones, and we had good jobs, good lifestyle that we dreamed of. We built together. And those times, first of all, started with losing our jobs, being redundant, and couldn't cope with the high mortgage rates, etc. The battle starts from there. And then we couldn't cope any longer because of the bank chasing for the debts accumulated over months. We tried to find solutions, but wasn't enough. And then the conflict started in between the loved ones. And we were trying to keep our heads over the floor, and all of a sudden our home has been repossessed, and we were here in the middle of the street.
Were there a certain amount of payments that had to be missed, or was that something that happened in 2 months, 6 months? How?
Yes, those like episodes, going to court with the bank and meeting, etc., didn't help.
And then the stress is building that
Oh, yes,
entire
yeah.
time, and the stress was in the home, I imagine.
Yes,
as
the
well.
stress and was coming very heavily.
Did that affect your health in any way?
Yes, at the time it didn't feel like, those traumatic things. Pressure was really
It builds. I think
it builds,
that's one of the-
gradually built. And because at the time we were battling, fighting back or trying to find solutions.
Is that, sorry, you're saying you're battling the bank, the situation?
Yes, yeah. And then, first of all, losing your jobs or being redundant, financial effect, of course. Then losing your home, being repossessed, and then the physical health, and start building a mentally coping mechanism. Couldn't actually go further, whatever we did. Then frictions came, we separated, and then start a divorce, filing divorce, etc. So at least hoping that maybe we individually go away and then start our lives again.
Each one of those situations in isolation is extremely stressful.
Yes.
Losing your income,
And
losing
home.
a home, going through a divorce,
Yeah,
that's an incredible amount of pressure and stress
it is.
for anybody.
It was. Yes, family members tried to help, but how much they could help. Anyway, and I found myself on my own. And at the time, depression was going from mild, from starting, and then
How did it manifest in the early days for you? Did you just feel numb? Were you reactive? How did it look for you? It's different for everybody. But
yes, first exhausted because I was, chasing these people, arranging the codes, preparing all these documents, everything, and then really exhausted. Then suddenly one day I collapsed at the shopping center, and then I find myself in the hospital because my heart couldn't take anymore. Like,
was that a panic attack or was it?
sort of that, yes. I didn't know at the time. I was thinking, oh, maybe I didn't sleep enough, then maybe this exhaustion and lethargy happening. Well, doctors checked all things, and then your heart pressure is higher, so it might affect your blood pressure. And then diabetes came, and when I heard, I said, well, I ignored those ones, Okay, but I have to, carry on, these battles I have.
Did you find that helped with your mental state? That although everything wasn't yet resolved, being active, working, even helping others, was that something you
That
found
was
helped?
that it helped actually tremendously, because that was like losing your everything you dearly kept, those things, and then suddenly I found myself helping other people, and it actually started healing me as well. It turned around that I'm focusing my energy instead of draining my energy for cannot change the events, losing your thing, but at least I could actually start using that energy to helping somebody, and it helps me as well.
And
So-
it stops you being isolated as well.
Yes, that's right. And then, for 6 to 8 months, I looked after the person, and then built a good relationship, trusted relationship. So, and then I could earn little money that I could actually go by daily. And then until court cases finished, I couldn't do it much for them. So
How long did that divorce
that
process take?
it took a long time, like 2-3 years.
And were you homeless during that whole time, living in your work accommodation?
I lived like 1.5 years in the work accommodation, and then at the time I was doing like night shift with another carer. So during the day I could do my own things, going around errands. And then I found this stress management course,
Okay.
and I enrolled. So
What do you do in those moments when you're overcome by emotion or depression?
yes, sometimes when I'm alone, those flashbacks makes me sad. Then I did create sort of a corner for myself. Now, Tanya, go to your corner and cry out instead of keeping this inside, and only share your joys and outcome with other people.
Yeah.
So I wasn't actually cheerful all the time, and I wasn't crying all the time. So the balance, it has to be done first.
And it's healthy to cry.
It
and
is,
nobody
yeah.
is cheerful all the time.
Yeah, exactly. That is the reality. And in the past, I I was very careful with my appearance, how I looked, you know, because I used to work in corporate city jobs, and so I had to look well, you know, presentable all the time. And
You still look very well. Very presentable.
yeah, but during this battling time, I've seen myself worse in the mirror, and then when I started this stress management course, counseling course, and I found those affirmations, you know, I start making those affirmations in the mirror, saying, look, this is for the moment, this is a situation that it will change for better. So I kept reminding myself, and I permitted myself, now you can cry in your corner and come back and smile now, okay? Like self-talking.
Absolutely. And I feel like the intent behind our actions and thoughts make a huge difference as well, because there's a big difference in dolling yourself up and putting makeup on for the sake of something negative, like attention just for the sake of attention. It's very different when you either are going through something very difficult, maybe you've been through something very difficult, and it's an act of self-care, that you are actively taking those steps. It might seem silly at first to think, oh, brushing my hair, or you don't necessarily have to put makeup on. If I wasn't working, I wouldn't have makeup on right now. But those acts of self-care and taking the time for yourself and attention are all forms of really looking out for yourself and prioritising your well-being.
At the time, my mum was my rock, and I remember this struggling time. My joints all struggled due to physical deficiency, whatever.
So the winter, the arthritis would flare up.
Doctors gave me lots of medication, of course, painkiller mostly, but it's a pain numbing things, like because I knew that deep down the cause. And my mom used to take me to parks for walks, and then she's a petite, small woman, but strong woman. She would hold my arms and come on, we go for a walk, daily walk.
I like the sound of your mom.
And even it's like struggling, Mom, it's so painful, I can't step on it. And then she says, here's your stick, use it.
And loosening up the joints and the fresh air is actually, it's ultimately good for you. It may not be fun at the time, but it's
and then I remember she was talking to my feet, this crazy woman, I'm her daughter.
I'm like
she was,
her more and more.
She was, you know what she was telling? She says, poor feet, you know what she's done to you. Come on, let's go. We'll take you for a walk.
Yeah.
I said, Mom, what do you do? Who are you talking to? Your feet?
Yeah.
I said, is that my feet? Why are you talking to?
She sounds like a very experienced mum. It's such a mum tactic.
Bless her. Yes, yeah, and we did that journey together. And then when I finished this stress management counseling course, I decided to, okay, this is my line. Okay, this everything experienced and physically and mentally. Now get back to normal myself.
How did you make those steps? Were you pushed by your support network, or is that something you as an individual had a light bulb moment where you just thought, okay, it's now, I need to start making those steps forward?
Yes, first of course, it comes from within. When I decided, I remember I was making this self-talk in the mirror, said, now this is time. Get back to yourself and carry on. Now you are needed for other people with your experience. And yes, there are lots of development, self-development, reading, traveling, and going to places for recovery, even meditation or everything. Sort of things with a couple of friends. We went for sort of yoga treatment in India, and different cultures, different atmosphere. So collected, and I felt that collected and supported. When I come back, and I decided that
I would love to keep talking. I am absolutely engrossed in this conversation. We are limited on time, but thank you so much for joining us. This is Tani joining me today from Healing Arts Plus. She works in the community with the elderly and mental health recovery and recuperation.
Yes, using everybody's lived experiences and sharing them to help other people to recovery in their journey.
To learn more about any of the topics we have discussed on the show today, and specifically about Healing Arts Plus, we'll put links on all of our posts, and we look forward to it launching next year.
Yes, hopefully next year will be a great year. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Mind Over Matter TV. I'm Fiona Watt.